All right, guys, welcome to the Booze and Boobs podcast. This is our introduction because you don't know who we are. My name is Rachel.
My name is Katrina. We're excited that you're here.
Please stay. Don't leave us yet. I promise we're funny at least.
If you can't laugh with us, at least laugh at us.
I laugh at you all the time.
Exactly. That's half the fun.
That's most of the fun for me. But we're starting this podcast because we are two women and we love horror. So we're making a horror-based podcast hosted by women. But the fun part about it, at least for us, I think what gives us kind of an edge, not only being women, is we get to give that perspective. I feel like there's a lot of podcasts that are by men, for men, about men. And I texted Katrina and I was like, I'm tired of all these film bros. Like, I want my voice to be heard too.
And obviously I did not say no because we're here right now.
Yeah. So, but it's really fun. We are going to just kind of walk through different movies that we like. Some of them we've seen together before, or we have both seen. Some of them are going to be ones that maybe it's my first time or it's Katrina's first time. So that'll also be kind of nice too, to get that fresh perspective. Like, I remember when we watched Scream really recently, you had never seen Scream before. So me watching it with her was just me watching her.
Exactly.
It was so insane. No spoilers.
No.
This is a spoiler-free intro.
Just vice versa, when we watched The Skeleton Key and it was her first time seeing it, and I was just, we recorded it and my face is just like staring at her the whole time, like, when is she gonna know? When is she gonna know? It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I think that is a really great concept for a podcast. I mean, everyone's got one. Why not us?
Right.
But we want to be able to just kind of share our perspective on events that are happening in horror through a woman's eyes. So sure, we can make mention of the Bechdel test, but I think, we're just going to focus a lot on, what if a woman was going through this? Is a woman going through this? What is the societal equivalent to whatever is going on in horror? I think horror is a genre that speaks of whatever time that it's in, and that can be really relevant. I mean, we're recording this May 2022, so if you're listening to this in the future, I hope we're better off than where we are right now. In relation to like the Supreme Court and all the shit that's going on. We're very vulgar, by the way. So I just think that our voices are important, and we appreciate anybody who is out there listening. And I personally, I look forward to your feedback, and I want to hear from other women. I know women love horror. I want to know what do you think? What are your favorite horror movies? What do you think about a situation or a scene in a horror movie, and how does that relate to an experience that you might have had?
Mm-hmm. What draws you in, but also like what pushes you away? What about horror do you not like? What would you like to see change? What would you like to see more of, less of? Just kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think that we can't ignore tropes and things that are going on in movies when we are going to speak about them. We're not avoiding that. It's just taking whatever is going on and putting, that kind of feminine perspective to it.
Mm-hmm. And there's not I don't think there's a topic we won't cover if we feel strongly enough about it. So
yeah,
it's one of those things. And my personal experience in horror movies is I watch them, but also growing up, my dad always watched the really, really bad, like sci-fi channel horror movies.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just, sometimes the really bad horror movies are my favorite, like Tremors. Like,
well, and that's okay. And I think horror is, one of those crazy genres where, it's okay to like more things. I think if you say that you like Scorsese, there's even a subset of Scorsese films that are like elite, and you're not intelligent if you don't like these things. Silence sucked. by the way, but
I don't even know what that is.
it's an Adam Driver movie, and I turned it off.
Oh,
So I couldn't do it.
that means
and
it's
I
bad,
grew up
bad,
religious,
guys.
so many layers. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that I think everybody can appreciate something in horror. So you can have like the classic slashers. You can have these art house, elevated horror that they like to say. But I think all of that can be put into a perspective of, whatever a woman is going through. I think women are the center subject matter of horror so often, but there's not a lot of horror that's made for women to digest.
And I don't believe that the role of women in horror has really evolved as time has gone. Horror obviously has evolved in so many different avenues, but the role of women in horror is pretty stagnant compared to where everything else has gone.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that that's a really great kind of topic. So kind of what we're planning. I mean, we're just starting out. We'll see where we go from here. But as we discuss, kind of every episode so far in our plan is every episode is going to be based around one singular movie. And then we'll just kind of break it down beat by beat to what's going on in the movie. If it's not a movie that has a bunch of women in it, what is going on that women can relate to inside that subject matter. If it's a horror movie with a bunch of women in it, we can talk about how they're interacting with each other in relation to the rest of the plot. So I think that really the options are endless.
Exactly.
The limit does not exist.
Right. We just recorded our first episode of Creep, which has no women in it, but all we talked about was women. So really,
it's a movie made with men, but it's a movie about women.
Exactly.
Which is so insane. And that's probably, like, if you want to dissect it, why it's one of my favorite horror movies, just subject matter alone.
And we had a really fun time recording it, talking about it. So I hope you listen to the first episode. We look forward to hearing from you guys and hearing your feedback. What do you want us to cover? What kinds of things do you want to hear? What do you want to see?
We're setting up our Patreon as well. So we're going to put our unedited podcast clips on there, so you get to hear all the fun jokes that we make to each other that are probably never going to be made anywhere else. And we're going to do some special content. We really want to build this up and make a community where everybody is included, but it is done through a woman's perspective. So I would love to have, a kind of community of women all talking about horror with each other and really just being able to build that up.
So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys stick around.